Who is this super YouTuber? Is it Paul, the Joy Toy Collector? Andy, the Newcastle United fan? Jamie, the GoBot hater? Alexis, the salesman? Rohan, the man with the plan and the Wall of Fame? Might just be Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Oh, he's so fly, a groovy guy with a beard that just won't stop. When the bots get rough, he's super tough as third party cleans up. Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Thank you, my friends, and welcome back to the world of Hanro. And this week I'm talking about Rise of the Beast. No, I'm not actually, because, there's no point. I haven't seen it. The guys have covered it to death on the show. And there's reviews everywhere, and there's spoilers everywhere, and you've all seen it probably anyway. I'll probably be the last one to see it, going by what, everybody thinks of me, and the fact that I don't actually buy my Transformers till a year after everyone else, and blah, blah, blah. I will get around to seeing it. I just need to find some time when I can actually get out and see it. But anywho, this week I've got for you the review of Magic Square's Munitioner, or in other words, Generation 1 Swindle. So let's take a look at him. Alright, so as always, starting off with the packaging, we have, of course, the lovely Magic Square packaging, as you'd expect. Munitioner, as I said, he should have been called Mutineer, because obviously he's having a mutiny most of the time, or trying to make a deal, and basically being Alexis. Warning on the front, Magic Square on the top, we've got a picture on the side, and Magic Square, warning on the bottom, and the same old Made in China, and a picture on the back of the alt mode, which is quite nice with the tech specs, and he's got high intelligence, but not very good in terms of things like courage and rank and things like that. So, there you go. Alright, opening up the inside the box, you get, of course, Swindle and the foot in the cartoon colored accuracy. And here we have the baggie of accessories and instructions and his card, collector card. Instructions as usual, nice colored instructions on glossy paper. Not too bad to follow. I did follow them once, and then after that I was able to do it by myself. It's 46 steps. In terms of the accessories, there's quite a few. You get, obviously, his arm blaster, which he can fit on his arm, unlike every other iteration of the toy. You get his other end missile, kind of. You get his missile, which is doubling up as his gun. You get the sort of post in which they both attach and can be posed with, which sits in the vehicle mode, doesn't have anywhere to go on robot mode, and you get his spare tyre or spare wheel for vehicle mode, which also can sit on his back in robot mode. If we take him out and have a look at him, I'm not even going to bother taking the foot out until we get more pieces of Bruticus to combine. We can see that the spare wheel here has a little tab and a little peg hole here, and we can connect the two together, and there we have it. And on his arm he has a tab in which you can attach one of the two tabs on his large gun, and he can hold and pose that well. He can hold his alternate missile gun perfectly well, and this thing you just need to keep somewhere safe. And there's his card. Right then, here's the close-up of the little guy himself. We can see he's got a black painted face, which everybody is complaining about, because the IDW version comes with a nice silver face, which looks better. On the IDW version, you also get a transparent window screen rather than this toon accurate painted one. Otherwise, he's pretty much identical, other than the combiner foot. And if we take a look around him, he stands quite nicely, traditional Magic Square style. Everything is flush and panels are straight. There are a few bits of gappage and a few bits of sort of peg areas to plug into down the side here. And unlike some of his colleagues and other Magic Square figures, there is a reasonable amount of gappage and a bit of paneling in the back here as well. But it cleans up quite nicely on the front, and I think you can forgive it considering it's a combiner, and he has those other features. And a quick robot mode comparison with some other figures. Here we have Mechfan's Toy Snarl, New Age's Galvatron, who is a reasonable amount taller than him, which probably isn't that too accurate, but makes sense. New Age's Beachcomber, who's half the size of Swindle. Magic Square's Hoist, who's quite a bit shorter from the head standpoint, but obviously comes up to the same height if you include all his gubbins. Hot Rod from Studio Series 86, and the Orion packs from the 2-pack Hero Born. And for a through the generations comparison, here he is with his likely lad, G1 Swindle, who's obviously Diddy.
It's not my fault, Megatron. This greed is built into my personality component.
And there we have Swindle in his alt mode. In terms of transformation, it is very involved. I mean, you know, what I said about Brawl's legs is to the next level on Swindle's legs, obviously. Not massively difficult to do, but just very fiddly. You've got to twist them around several times, open flaps, expand them, line everything up and tag it together. And when you're tabbing it together, the difficulty really comes with the ports, because in the doors, for example, here on the side, there's a little tiny peg which you may or may not be able to see in there, which goes into a hole, and that tiny little peg is probably just slightly too big for the hole, and so it doesn't quite line up well. It's very similar in many ways to the Hound design. As you can see, it's got the not straight but diagonally shaped doors on here, because the back end is larger than the front end, and yeah, it's not too terrible, but it has issues with the legs. Certainly you'll have to do it once or twice, and then once you've done it, then it's fine. And I had some issues with the arms. You have to get them right into the right position to be able to clip the front end on in the right place, and also then to be able to clip the front wheels on. So because the way in which it works is the shoulders and the arms actually fold up and squeeze into the engine bay itself, they then have to be pushed slightly forward, but not too far forward, so that you can get this front positioning all connected together. And the ultimate end solution, the ultimate end look, is fantastic. I absolutely love the look of Swindle in his alt mode. I think out of all the Magic Square figures I've got, it's probably one of the best looking alt modes they've made, and it just tidies up really well. There are a couple of small holes here on the top. The front end looks lovely with the blue lights and the purple and yellow sand color really do emulate the cartoon perfectly. You have full visibility of moving bits, pieces around. You can put the guns at different angles and whatnot. The wheels do roll really nicely. I think mine actually rolls probably almost too freely compared to some of the others. They've gone to the nth degree in terms of the detail here, with the slats in the grille and the bumper assembly and the winch here on the front, which all obviously is molded plastic, really nice. And on the back, it cleans up really well. You don't see too much kibble. Obviously, there's a few little bits underneath, which you can see from the side. And if you flip it over, you can see the sort of torso body, the fake front end, if you like. But that's about it. And on the back end, yeah, when you put the spare wheel on, obviously it's a bit of a pain that you've got to put the spare wheel and this connector post in, unfortunately. But, you know, you're asking for a lot if you're trying to get that involved in as well, considering that we've already got fake wheels here on the bottom for the legs, and our fake wheels also for the shoulders as well. And it's nice that they've included the steering wheel, which is adjustable. The thighs actually make up what ends up looking like the seats here in the middle, with these little flip-out seat backrests, and then the thighs make up the sort of leg area, if you like. It's beautiful. And just a very quick comparison with Hound, because obviously he's the first Jeep that Magic Square have done. The first thing that strikes me, I don't know about all of you, is the fact that he's just bigger, Swindle. He's wider, he's beefier, he's got more presence about him. And I kind of wish that Magic Square had made Hound now in this sort of scale, rather than in the slightly slimmer scale that he is. Height-wise, Hound is perfectly fine. It's just the It's just the vehicle mode, and he's got better seat sound, and the way in which they did the incorporation of the weapon here on the back is simpler, obviously, than Swindle's, but Swindle's will hold better because of the way they've incorporated that. But overall, I think they both look fantastic. Quick comparison then with the usual suspects. We have Masterpiece Toy World B, we have Power of the Prime's Windcharger, Generation 1 Swindle, who obviously is not quite as long, a little bit wider, doesn't quite have the posability or even the colour scheme of the Magic Square Swindle, but is still a cool little Jeep. We have Generation 2 Iron Fist, or G1.5 Iron Fist, which is a custom by the wonderful Nathan Croak at the Cluttered Desk. Earthrise Kingdom, Kingdom Warpath, and New Age's Outback for scale against New Age Minibot, and Magic Square's Gears. And he scales up pretty nicely against all of these figures, to be fair. Obviously, Toy World B is quite a bit bigger, and the Hasbro products are larger scale, but in terms of with the other four, he's pretty good. And so, final thoughts then on Magic Square Munitioner, or G1 Swindle, or Mutineer if you want to copy my naming convention. There's been a lot of negative press about this guy because of the fact that he comes with the black face plate and it should have been silver, which I do agree with, and also the fact that his legs are pretty complex and the transformation is very involved from tip to toe, which I don't mind too much because it pulls off the look really well in robot mode, and the alt mode is fantastic in my opinion. I don't think there's ever been a better Swindle, and it does encompass the personality of the character a little bit, in the sense that he's a blackmailing, deal-talking, cheap man who just wants to get what he wants and doesn't really care about his friends too much. But ultimately, I love the character, I love the figure, and even though it is a bit more expensive, part of Bruticus is a must-have for me. So if you haven't got him, if you want to get Legends, he's the one to get in terms of G1 style Swindle. Now, and on that bombshell, that's me for another week. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for joining me here on Rohan's Corner. Back to the studio.
Transformers, Rohan's in disguise.